Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear this Friday morning going to end up a great weekend outdoors, and we'll get started with our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center, the corner of Baldwin Road and Highway 77. And everybody knows about the weather. We're going to have some, it's going to be a tough outdoor weekend. It's going to be blowing. Don't know which direction everything's going, but we are going to get some rain and we're going to get some wind. So just be aware of that. I'm afraid we're not going to get a lot of offshore fishing done this weekend. High today, get up to 87 and low 72, but I'm looking at Sunday's high. It's only going to get about 81 or 82 degrees on Sunday. So we got some, weather. You just need to stay tuned and see what's going on really on a almost hourly basis to find out if you plan on doing outdoor activity. Really get the last minute check on it. Take a look at our river readings now. The Apalachicola at Bluntstown is dropping on out. It's going, folks, it's reading 4.6. The Apalachicola Bluntstown has not been below that low in a long time. So the river is in great shape. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville, it's reading right at 6 foot, and it's dropping out a little bit. Now, this is all going to change after all this rain comes through here, but if you can squeeze in some time, either this afternoon after work or maybe first thing in the morning, you can get some good fishing done at the river. So we're in great shape there. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery right here at 23rd Street. Their motto is when carrying counts. We're looking at the calendar. Today is October the 4th. It's Friday. We're still in those neap tides, have been for 4 days now. Tomorrow the tide is going to be a little bit better, and then next week we have some really strong tides. So we'll get through this weather system we have this weekend. We're looking at some fine tidal flow next weekend. Okay, so good shape there. Now I try to on the phone. I try to get every now and then I try to call a pier and just get a first-hand report from the Panama City Beach Pier. Those guys out there, they're on top of everything, and they're always doing a good job with it. And I can talk to Buster or Ron or any of them. Right now, I have say, Ron, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
We doing great.
Well, listen, I've heard all kinds of exciting things coming from the pier, so tell me some of what's going on out there.
Well, it's been good. The sailfish, they come in this time of year. One day, I think it's a few days ago, we caught about 6 in one day.
Wow.
There's a lot of them, but, they've been catching 1s and 2s. I think they caught 1 yesterday. Yesterday, we also, for the first time, had seen the whiting. They showed up, so we should start catching a few of those. There's been some flounders. The guys that got the limit of 6, I think one gentleman, he limited out on them. He got 6 in one day, so they're coming in.
Ron, let me interrupt you here. You're doing real good. What are they catching the flounder on?
Well, they catch on belly strips and bull minnows.
Okay. All right. What else are they catching?
Well, they're catching blues early in the morning, late in the evening. They're catching kings. The same as Spanish. And we've caught up quite a few reds, too.
So has most of the action been like coming early in the morning or late in the afternoon, or just all day long?
Yeah, it's been mostly in the morning and late in the evening.
Okay.
But, there has been onesies and twosies all during the day, but the best action is early in the morning.
Okay, now I've seen where y'all having a tournament coming up. What's going on with that?
Okay, yeah, that tournament starts in the morning at 5 o'clock, and it's a daily prize. You get whoever's got the largest flounder, Spanish, king, and what's the other one? Pompano, that's right.
Okay.
Those 4 classes, and whoever gets the largest one, they have prizes for them.
Okay.
And it goes through November the 3rd, October the 4th through November the 3rd, every weekend, started Friday morning at 5 o'clock and ends on Sunday evening at 5.
Well, I'm sure glad you told us about it. Who's sponsoring that?
TDC.
The Tourist Development Council. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, they can spend some of that money on Panhandle Outdoors instead of all those wine and cheese festival. That's the first we heard about it. I'm glad y'all are doing that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a competition between the piers, so
Okay.
they all have it, so it's a good deal.
Well, I appreciate you telling us about it.
And no entry fee, Winston. There's
All
no
right.
entry fee to that.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much. That's a good report. I'll have to get out and see you guys.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Let's go ahead and I want to go ahead and Bob. Let's go ahead and do our while we can, because a lot of times I get in the Friday fishing forecast and forget to do our fishing game times today, brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. And we only have one time today, and so just like yesterday, right in the middle of the day. Yesterday was a few minutes earlier, but today's going to be from 12:33 to 2:33. 12:33 to 2:33. Mark Coward, Edgewater Beach Realty. Okay, those are great sponsors here on Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate it. And then we have other people. Okay, let's take this break. We'll be right back. You know, getting back to what I said earlier, I'm convinced those folks out there don't want locals to fish these tournaments. I'm convinced of that, and that's why we don't get a lot of information on it. But let's go over there and show them how the locals can catch these fish out there. Now, look, let's go ahead and I'm behind on pictures. We've had this past weekend was an outstanding weekend of fishing, and I missed that day and all, and so I'm going to show some pictures. I'm going to go back to the other day when I only showed 3 or 4 out of a whole string I got. So let's go ahead and start. Bob, let's go ahead and look at this first picture. This is. I showed this the other day, but we're going to show the first 2 or 3 again, okay, because I want to get things going. This is little Barefoot girl. This is Wally's little daughter, okay. This is Abby Barefoot. We're her first one. First fish there. Look at the big old grin. She looks like her dad. All right, here's Bear. I showed him the other day with that flounder he got this past weekend. All right, we just talked about these sailfish on the pier. Talking about locals now, that's James Weslowski, one of my former students. And James is an excellent fisherman. He was in high school and still is. He has a passion for it, and you can see what you can do. Good job, James. Okay, another sailfish that was caught. Like I said, it caught 6 of them. That's Nora Bradley. With one of her, John Daniel had that picture. Okay. How about a permit right outside the pass? I mentioned this the other day. Showed it. It's my cousin, Graham Lovett. All right. Cute picture here. Derek, this is Cameron Jones. This is Brandon Boyd's daughter. Derek Darby took them fishing. A nice group right there in the pass. All right, Spanish. We're talking about some really nice Spanish on the fishing report. We're going to talk about how nice size. This is Linda Cabot Spanish here. Caught it on her sup. Nice mess of brim. This was caught by Clay and Sherry O'Neill. Buddies up there in Alpha, they've been down. They're keeping their camper at the end of the road landing, and that is a nice. You might have saw it on the video the other day. All right, here's one of my students catching her first fish, Gabe Benson. Folks, she's learned how to throw the cast net this week, and she and her boyfriend went out to the Lynn Haven Bridge, and she's excited. Isn't that a cute picture? That's her first fish. All those are catfish. Gabe Benson, I'm proud of you for catching. She caught her on bait and caught her first fish. Now, Moses Outdoor Ed. Well represented there. How about Jonathan Snyder with a very nice redfish, Jonathan? All right, let's go on over. I just threw this one in. You might be a redneck if you trim your hedges this way. Bob, that look like some of our friends? All right. All right, let's go on now. This is talking about first fish. This is Wesley Dow. He's a student out at Arnold. The mom's Nancy Dow. She's a teacher out there. And this is his first grouper. He's a baseball player out there. That is a good sized grouper there, Wesley. Nice one. All right. Now, this is a carp. Jeremiah Hatcher. Caught and released a carp. That's about all you can do with a carp. You want to release it. But good job, Jeremiah. Okay. Crooked Island Sound produced some Tom Green, Paul Castro. They caught some nice redfish over there. Okay. Ted Turnbow. Saw him at a boat landing open in the morning. We were all launching at the same time. I said, Ted, send me a picture of what y'all catch and all. And good job right there. There's a fish they caught. And they didn't say how long because the weather bad, but that's for the amount of time they fished, he said, that is really a nice mess of fish there. Okay, this is, all right, hey, these are fish we caught. Okay, got them iced down. I'm going to show you this video. We don't have it yet. And a big old grouper there. All right. Here's the crew, the Motley crew. I'm fishing in the background by there. Brian Wilkie, my fellow outdoor ed teacher. In front of him is Mike Wolf. Mike's been there a long time, but teaches math at Mosley, and then myself. And behind the camera is Greg Wolf. Greg was on his boat, and we had a battle out there with those seas, but we caught a big mess. We just kept anything under 15 pounds. Michael Trubius in this picture. They went that afternoon. Okay, check this one out. I read that. That is just funny right there. That sign sent to us by Dave Borges, one of our loyal viewers. All right. And last not least, now look, this is a game camera here locally, and this sent to us by Greg Melvin. This is a gator in a game. You're looking for a deer, but you see the gator. That's pretty good right there. So he sent us. Okay, we're caught up on our picture now. But look at the variety of fish and all that were caught this past week. You know, the freshwater fish, we saw all of them, the catfish, and then the permit and the sailfish and the kings and the snapper and grouper. That's all, you know, will last 4 or 5 days. So that's the great thing we have around here to talk about. Now, the storm, you know, big question on the storm is, you know, it's going to be here, but I always remember this. One of the big benefits when a big blow comes through here, one of the big benefits, it really stirs up things according to how strong the storm is. It really stirs things up on the bottom out there. A lot of that structure sort of gets moved around a little bit, and a lot of fish are coming in from other areas. They sort of get blown in. And I've heard legendary stories of catches of people fishing after these storms and all. This is before the limits. Now we have limits, so you won't have those huge catches, but you'll still have some really some great days out there when the storm settles down. So be aware of that. I wrote that down, make sure everybody understands about it. Also, with the rain coming, you know, if you hadn't done your food plot yet, it'd be a great time to get your food plot going. So check that out. We need to go and take our break. Let's take our break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Now, all kinds of things going on in October. We're trying to keep tabs on all of them. The first thing, of course, let's talk about next Saturday, of course, will be the Elizabeth Baldock Memorial Redfish Tournament. We'll be right there in Lynn Haven. We've talked about it. We've had them on the air and everything, but that will be next Saturday at Porter Park from 6 till 3. And you can, if you don't participate, you still can, you know, buy some of the raffle tickets and all. Bill Allen's going to be out of town, but he's going to give me some money to get him some tickets. He's going to donate, you know, some money to the cause. And that, you know, that's the kind of attitude and all we have here in the Panhandle, helping things out. And you know, I've mentioned this before, but Scott Lindsay is going to compete against me trying to catch the biggest redfish. I don't really want to make an issue out of it because he's putting all kind of falsehoods in the paper. But let me tell you this: he's already been out pre-fishing trying to find some redfish. I haven't redfished in 2 months, but I don't have to pre-fish to beat Scott Lindsay. Okay, he's going. I've been red snapper fishing. He's been spending all his time looking for redfish so he can try to beat me. So anyway, we're going to see you on Saturday, next Saturday, when the proof will be in the pudding. Also coming up next weekend, just getting word on this over at Pier 98. Pier 98 used to be a big sponsor on Panhandle Outdoors. They have new owners now, but I like the attitude they're getting into this fishing. $5,000 guaranteed points. That's going to be first place king, then first place aggregate. That's the most kings weight, and first place red snapper, first place amberjack. So that's a good little tournament. Hopefully to get things going. We got a conflict there with 2 tournaments going on, so maybe next year we'll get that worked out ahead of time. But that's over at Pier 98. All right. Also keep in mind we have October now. You know, we talk about it. There's so many things to do. We just want to stretch this month out. But make sure that you do stay tuned to the weather and don't take any kind of chances. We went out that open day of red snapper season, and we were in a 25-foot boat. We went 37 miles out, and I'm going to show you that video Monday. But we got beat up. But we read the weather forecast. If seas were NOAA predicted 1 to 2 foot seas. You heard this story before, and it may build a 2 to 3. Well, our seas were 5 to 7. And we out there, so you know everything we did, you know, holding on one hand, trying to catch. I needed 3 hands to film, hold on to the boat, and catch a fish. So it was a great time with some great friends, but it was rough. We got beat up. We called Noah all kind of names, but I think the nicest one we called him was No Clue instead of Noah. But anyway, it changes so much out there, and they can't, even with the technology, it's hard for them to keep up with it. Okay, That being said, just be aware of that. Double those numbers when they predict it. Double those numbers when you're going offshore. I'm serious. All right, now let's get to our drawing. I hear some best people. I talked to someone the other day that watched the show. Said they didn't enter, but they're just glad to see people win on Friday morning. They just tickled to see people win. All right, this is going to be for a $20 gift certificate. And this winner is Brenda Childry, first time winner. Brenda Childry, $20 from Tarpon Dock Seafood. And now let's pick up, let's get this one right here. Pull that out. Anthony Wyndham, Defuniak Springs. Got a lot of viewers up there in Defuniak Springs. So Brenda Childry wins the $20. Anthony Wyndham wins that big old red snapper. And we're going to have Sunday dinner with that red snapper that we caught this week. So you take advantage of it right there. And enter this. We still have 3 or 4 months left in the year. Enter the contest. And I'm going to be giving away, when my book comes in, I'm going to be giving away one of my books I just draw right here. So make sure you enter it, okay? All right, we're going to take our final break and come back with a famous Friday fishing forecast. Welcome back to our famous Friday fishing forecast, and we have all kind of, we talked about it already. We were on the phone with the pier earlier, but before I called the pier this morning, I also called down at Carabel, and they're really catching a lot of redfish down there. I talked to Kim and all that group down there, and they were excited about nice redfish being caught. Also, red snapper were brought in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. Some nice, even though it was rough, those folks went out there. They didn't have to go quite as far as we did down here, because a lot of times we'll just go straight south from here. A lot of times they just go half the distance to the west, and we'll get the same kind of fishing ground. So fishing is really good in Carabel. In fact, she was telling me, I asked her where they were catching them. She said they were catching them on top water right on the backside of Dog Island, okay, which will get you, even this weekend, if it's not raining and lightning, and the wind's going to be coming, out of east, southeast, be coming this direction. So if you can get across this bay right here, you can still do some good red fishing up in here. So if the weather's going to be okay, as far as wind and all, you can go ahead and do that. So now let's move on down to the Apalachicola. The really good reports. Keep in mind, when I have bad weather, I always think about maybe fishing river and staying off the inshore and offshore and all. If you're going to fish a river, keep in mind the FWC last year. I was looking at some. I remember, if you remember last year, they released about I think 250,000 hybrid bass and sunshine bass, and so that kind of bass fishing right at the mouth of the rivers of East River, Saws Creek, any of those rivers down there, St. Mark's, the striped bass fishing is going to be really good, sunshine bass. But remember last year in 2012, they released 250,000 of those fish. All right, so freshwater fishing, if the weather's not bad, if you're a hybrid like me, can love doing both of them. Freshwater fishing might be a good route to go if there's not really heavy rains and all. So keep that in mind. The freshwater fishing on the Chattahoochee River, we'll get there in a minute, is going to be really good too. But let's go ahead and Blair Morgan reported this past weekend in St. Joe Bay, flounder fishing is red hot in St. Joe Bay, and also flounder fishing, of course, this is one of the hot spots here, here. Those 3 places right here are the hot spots for flounder fishing, okay? But he said it's also surf fishing has been good, but I wouldn't want to really push surf fishing for this week. This weekend is not going to be really good surf fishing, but he said it's still catching a lot of big black drum out of the surf right there along the Cape, around the stump hole, and also have caught some really big redfish. Pompano have not been picked up yet, but the report here, I got a kick out of that report from the pier because he said he saw some whiting being caught off the pier. Well, that's a great sign when you see those whiting. With Pompano going to be right behind us with surf fishing, so you might want to start planning ahead to the following weekend if you're not going to fish that redfish tournament. Surf fishing is going to be really good. I know in Bay County we have a 4-day fall break, so keep that in mind. Let's run up here to East Bay in Panama City. East Bay has been really strong with speckled trout this week. Okay. Now let's go up here. Spanish mackerel. I think the biggest, I got it written down here, the biggest fish, the hottest thing this past week in the Bay system and out of the pass and right outside the pass has been really large Spanish mackerel. Talked to Scott Lenz the other night. He's heard the same reports I have. There's some really big Spanish mackerel being caught. You saw where Linda Cabot caught that one. So Spanish mackerel, they've been eating all summer and they're getting ready for the fall run. So that is looking really good. So I know already the campers. The campers are already lining up. I get a kick out of this. I'm going to do this when I retire, I think. These guys, there's a group of people, they go out there to St. Andrews State Park, and they take their camper. They live here, live in Panama City, and they go out to St. Andrews State Park and take their camper and for 2 weeks, and all they do is flounder fish. And they gig them, they fish for them and all, but they already lining up, already starting to do that. So that tells you something. When the locals are doing that, that tells you about what the flounder are about to start doing around this area right here. Okay, bridge fishing. Heard some good reports of fishing around the Hathaway Bridge. They were caught some Spanish there, and also some black drum were caught around the Hathaway Bridge this past week. So it's been an excellent fishing. Dock fishing will be good. I didn't hear any reports this week, but I can promise you, next couple of weeks, the dock fishing up around Pretty Bayou and Goose Island going to be really good up in that area. Let's go over to Choctaw River. I do want to mention Holmes Creek area. You know, Holmes Creek flows into Choctaw River, which goes into Choctaw Bay. Holmes Creek now, the shell cracker bite over there has been good. You got to be careful of Holmes Creek. You can't fly up and down it. You know, we had a sturgeon jumping on it. A lot of times you get log jams, so you want to be careful on Holmes Creek. That whole area over there, that was very fishable. A lot of people are fishing it. The Choctaw River is in great shape. I didn't get a report from Choctaw Bay, but I did understand. You see the river's in good shape. I do understand people are catching some nice fish, and they're getting ready to catch a lot of those mullet over there. Folks, we've got to wrap it up. We've had another great week on Panhandle Outdoors. As always, I really appreciate your viewership. I run to people all the time to watch your show, and I appreciate it. And we just try to bring your A game every day. We've got some great sponsors. We ask you to support our sponsors, and folks here at Fox 28 are great with us, so we just enjoy doing it, and we're going to keep bringing it to you. Meanwhile, you have a great weekend. You do something good for somebody today, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.